Guys, we've got a bundle of beautifulness today. We've got the Gavin Day, the man, the myth, the legend, out here to inspire us. Gavin's got a wealth of pest control experience. When I think of someone to call to know that knows operations, that knows the customer experience, and also just all around how to communicate well between customer, salesman, and corporate. Gavin's one of the people that I think of. So we feel really blessed to have him on and just part of the team. So, Gav, thanks for being on today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Really quick, just kind of getting into it. We always love to give origin stories of where you come from, where you grew up, what got you into the pest game.
Cool.
Gavin, he's currently the active branch manager in Austin. He opened an office this year. The sales team out there is killing it. Mm-hmm. Gavin's a really good motivator and inspire. I think of a lot of people just because he keeps the sales team happy, and we just want to make sure that all branch managers kind of know what that takes in order to kind of keep up and going. So that's why we brought you on.
Sweet.
But let's go with origin story, man. Let's go beginning.
Cool. Born in Sandy, Utah. Grew up in Draper. I came from a big family. I'm third of 5 kids. And grew up in Draper, went to Corner Canyon High School. And then...
Enchanté.
Yes, sir.
That's some fancy stuff.
Went to Corner Canyon High School and then went on a mission to Ecuador.
Cool.
After the mission, I got back and I started at UVU studying business management.
Go Wolverines.
And go Wolverines, he's right. And then I was working at a place called Learning Techniques, and I matched with this girl on Mutual. And she kind of was like, hey, come meet me before we go on a date. Meet me at my work, and let's just meet up first. And I was like, sweet, sounds good. Let's go play ping pong or something. Pulled up to GreenX headquarters, and she wasn't even there. I had a meeting with Landon Hart, a recruiting meeting to sell, and that's history. You know, he got me in, and he recruited me to sell pest control, and I quit my job and went and sold pest control, and didn't do so hot at sales, but you know what? We switched to operations after a few weeks, and then I was pretty much in the pest control game after that. So really enjoy operations, and I wouldn't say I'm the greatest salesman in the world, but I sure know how to do the operation side.
Well, I didn't even know that origin story. It was that was the first time hearing that. So that's awesome. So you were planning on going on a date, and then it's all of a sudden recruited.
I never met this girl.
This is wild. Wait, so was it just a recruiting ploy? They had some fake girl?
So she sold for them the year before.
Yeah.
And then she had some deal set up where she would recruit guys off of Mutual. And she got a cut out of it. I don't know.
Stop.
It was kind of cool.
What? This is wild.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, we won't disclose her name here on the pod, but shout out for getting Gavin Day into the pest game. Well, cool. Well, one of the things that I think that you kind of brought up there, you're like, hey, sales wasn't my thing, but I ended up getting into the operations side.
Yeah.
And I think that you do bring a ton of value to a pest organization just by one, your willingness to go out and work and just be like, hey, I'm going to make things happen here with whatever we got, whatever it takes. We're going to get the home sprayed, the customer's taken care of, mm-hmm. and them feeling like they're better off than they were if they hadn't met us.
Yeah.
One of the things that I just saw that you've done recently is you're never going to please everybody. We got a negative review the other day, but you actually drove out to the customer's house that gave us the negative review, pulled up, said, hey, I'm here. What do I got to do to take care of you on service? And they ended up changing it to a 5-star review. Mm-hmm. And when I think of customer service, that's just huge. And just one, going directly to the customer, what do we got to do to take care of you? Let's make it happen. I think there's a big lesson there. I think a lot of times people try to think about structurally or how can we change this, but sometimes it's just about getting in the mud, getting in the trenches, and just being attacking the problem head on. And so I think as a leader too, your technicians will feel that are working with you and alongside you. In the sales force, I've never seen a Salesforce start to clap like the way that they did yesterday when we were out there in Austin doing media day. Everyone, like right as Gavin walked in, was like, "Gavin, you're the man!" Hey. So that was cool to see. And I think just like my shout out to you is like that's a good sales team, but that's also someone that's been taking good care of their people. So a big example and lesson that I think anyone can learn. If a sales manager with his sales reps, that's the kind of relationship you want to have. Operations manager with a sales team or with a corporate or any if you're walking in the room and people are happy to see you, that's when you know you've won. So my hat's off to you on that.
Thank you.
But yeah, let's get into like, what are some of your favorite? I saw your bookshelf yesterday, and I know you're a well-read man. But what are some like of the favorite things you've maybe looked over recently, or podcasts you've heard that have been like, man, this is like a good nugget on like organization, leadership, sales, or just management in general?
Yeah. One of my big ones that I always go back to is David Goggins. He's my big role model in everything with leadership, with kind of tenacity and moving forward. I love his book, Can't Hurt Me. And chapter 4 is one called Taking Souls. And it talks about working harder, working more than anyone else. And that's how if somebody's kind of going at you and you're butting heads a little bit, you just need to outperform them. And you need to get up earlier, stay work longer, and just get after it. And your work and everything you put into it is really going to show. Even if you're not out loud about it, you're pretty quiet, but maybe you're working a lot harder than everybody else, and that's how you take their soul per se.
Mm. Well, and one thing that I kind of like about that, like it just shows you that effort's everything. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times in business and in life, we think really quick, how can I divide the pie?
Right.
Like how can I cut this up and parcel it out? And just like everyone tries to strategize instead of just, hey, let's just bake another batch. Mm-hmm. And I think just adding a couple more hours of work in the morning or a couple extra hours in the evening, it goes a long way.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that changes a lot of people's lives faster than you think. And whatever you're doing, in sales, if you can take 15 extra minutes as a branch manager and check up on like your technicians or your sales reps or things like that, it's palpable.
Yeah, and that extra work really works wonders. Growing up, I had a huge role model in my dad. My dad was a really hard worker, and he would get up and he would leave for work at like 7 a.m. every morning. He would go home at like 7 or 8 at night every single day growing up, Monday through Saturday. And I always got to see him work his butt off, and it really paid off. Mm-hmm. So just that work and that tenacity of that go-get-it mentality is really something that I got to see in him. And it's really brought him a lot of success, and that's what I'm trying to do now.
I love it. And one thing that I've noticed about you, just your personality, you're an all-in kind of guy. Like when you do something, you go like 100. You're like, I'm going to give everything to this. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you had to learn over time, or is that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And where did that start? Like, was that?
It's a good question. I think a lot of it came from some of the some quotes from some TV shows that I've watched and things from Parks and Rec. Parks and Rec is one of my favorites. When Ron Swanson brings Leslie in and they're sitting on the side of the lake and Leslie's doing several things and he tells her, hey, you need to take some time off. And she's like, no, I can keep working. And he says, no, when I was young, like I worked 2 jobs and one thing that he says that he learned is never half-ass 2 things, whole-ass 1 thing. And, really get in there. And he told her to take some time off of work and take a sabbatical, and she did.
Hmm. Well, and I like that, too, just being like, you can't sometimes we try to hold everything. We try to be like, oh, I'm going to pick up all the different to do this all in one day or stuff like that. And just being really good at compartmentalizing and just being like, I'm going to get really good at this, like, give all my energy to this, and then I'm going to go away.
Yeah. And
rest is a big, important part of every job, whether you're in management, sales, whatever it is you're doing. You have to get really good at like going in really hard and working really heavy, but then also dialing back and making sure you're okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because if you're juggling too much, it'll drown you quick.
Big time. You gotta stay focused on what's most important, and really during the busy season, you got to be dialed in, hitting that hard. And then once the busy season's over, you can maybe dial back a little bit and maybe take a relaxation, a little vacation.
Yes.
And get back into it.
Dude, speaking of which, Mexico.
Going to Mexico tomorrow.
Exactly. And what's on like the itinerary that you're like most excited for?
Just spending time with the fam. You know, my brother's leaving on a mission, and so he'll be gone for the next couple of years, and I'm just gonna go see him, spend some time with him. So we got a big cruise leaving LA tomorrow, and it's a 5-day cruise. It'll be pretty sweet.
That's sick. So, Gavin, you've worked in many different like sales offices. You've seen a lot of different organizations and stuff like that. What were some of the cool things when you were coming up, whether it was a sales rep, as a technician, or like as a branch manager? What are some different things you've seen or learned along the way that you're like, this unlocked a lot of like, this unlocked a lot of doors for me, or this made me think a little bit different. And I was glad I got to go through that camp because now it changes how I look at things today. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Anything like that you're like, that was really beneficial for me in an operational standpoint or for a sales or anything like that?
I think about there was a sales rep at GreenX when I was servicing that I followed him around. I was his personal tech for a while, and I just remember he would really focus on those customers and just knock extra hours, right? And I remember one experience. It was probably 8 o'clock at night. And I was out there servicing one of his houses in the dark, and then I was like, "Caden, we going home yet?" And he's like, "Nope. I gotta go close 5 more." And I was like, "Really? Okay." And so he knocked on this townhouse, and he just kind of like he had that mindset of he's not going home until he sells five more. He knocked on the townhouse, and then the neighbor next door also came out, and he had 5 people around him, and he closed all 5 deals all at the same time. And I just was kind of like, wow, like he's got this goal in mind, and he's going to set those plans to make sure he meets that goal, and he's not going home until he does. Mm. And that really stood out to me, and that was just one experience. But he was a very tenacious guy, and I really liked that.
Well, learning to just like push past normal and knocking late, that was a huge lesson for me when I started knocking. That was hard for me to learn at first, but when I finally had like the team lead that year sit me down and be like, unless you're out there until 9:30 at night sometimes, hand hitting door, giving everything at that last part, you aren't digging deep enough.
Right.
And I think one of the cool things about like my experience that I had, but also like this guy, is it's nice to have someone that'll show you like what true work ethic is.
Oh yeah.
And going past like what the perceived, like we all have our normal procedure of like, oh, once I do that, then it's over. That's when it's done. But we sometimes like limits and fears. Michael Jordan has a quote, and I don't want to steal this from him. I was about to, but Michael Jordan, he has a quote where he says, limits like fears are often just an illusion. And I think if we can get really good at like looking at like our limits are like that, like it's not real. Like the limits that we set up in our mind sometime of like, oh, you're gonna get 5 more at the end of the day, like it's not possible. But like him showing you, no, this is possible.
Yeah.
I'm gonna push through this. We're gonna get the 5 deals. Then we're gonna go hit Buc-ee's and get the beaver nuggets and,
exactly.
and make it happen. So I just think like I love people like that are willing to help you, to show you that the limits that you currently have in your mind aren't there.
Yeah, they're not real, and you can move past them.
Yeah.
We all have that block in our mind. It's like a little governor that, the governor's not real. Take it out. Push through.
100%. Well, so talk to me too about some of the great leaders that you have and why they were great leaders that you've come through and learned from. Who are some people that you're like, oh, I learned this from them, or this was cool? Like maybe like I know you went through Matt Fridley's camp, which was great. But I'm kind of speaking more to the operations side. What were some great things that like you've learned from other people that you're like, oh, I brought this to my org and made this happen?
One thing that I've seen is I know a branch manager at a different company that I talk to pretty often about how they organize everything in preparing for or the organization of a branch. And I've kind of brought in a lot of the file systems that they use and a lot of the organization as far as product goes, everything like that, where I really feel like I'm just one step ahead of what I could have been if I didn't have that mentor for me. And just kind of the way that I'm managing the inventory so we never run out of products, and managing the file systems and personnel files, so if we ever did get audited, we're ready for that, and things like that. And so we're always one step ahead of anything that could get us in trouble necessarily, or something that we could be in operational difficulty, and trying to move past all that. So that manager over there, he was really helping me out on that.
Well, and one thing that I love about that, whatever kind of job you have, there's the systems that are provided for you, and then there's the systems that you can kind of like reach out, create, find, and whatever job you're in, you can always like think, okay, like this is what they're telling me to do. But kind of one of your gifts is it's like, no, like what's the best way to do this?
Right.
And I think if you can get really good at honing into that and being like, hey, I'm going to like find a better way, and I'm going to find like a new way to up-level myself. Yeah. That's a gift, and that's a skill that we all need to like really focus on, because if you just get stuck doing what other people tell you to do, you're only going to get so far.
Right.
Whereas if you go out and find new ways to innovate, it can be deadly.
Right, it can be. And then another mentor that I'm going to shout out, Matt Fridley, branch manager there in Utah. The way that he handles his relationship with all of his technicians is stellar, and he is friends with all of them, and everyone knows they can trust Matt to get it done, and they can also trust Matt to be a good friend to him, and he's just an ear to listen. And I'm trying to exemplify that a little bit, trying to use it here in my branch, and I feel like I've done a fairly decent job at it, and talking to my guys, and I'm trying to get good people and create those relationships and foster relationships that of trust and of hard working too, that these guys are out there to get it done, and we're going to get it done even though we have fun along the way.
Yeah, you guys do have fun out there in Austin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I always love hearing about like the different stories and everything that's kind of going on with the boys, and the service team that you've built out there is phenomenal. Like with Tanner and all the different techs out there. Yep. Talk to me on assembling a team though. Like, how do you bring together the Avengers to the service? Like, how do you build a good service team? What are some things that you already see in your tenure as a branch manager on like, these are people I hire, these ones I let go, and this is what it takes to cultivate a good team? So
I really look for good personality in an interview. That's the main thing I'm looking for. Anyone can do the job. Anyone can learn to do the job. It's being a technician is not necessarily the most difficult thing in the world. You can learn, but I'm looking for those people that have that personality that will all get along with each other, and I'm not looking to bring anybody on that's going to bring down the team. Mm-hmm. And that's the main thing that I look for in interviews. I just talk to them. I don't have any interview questions. I have a few things that I ask them, but mostly I just talk to them for 20 minutes and just see how it goes, see how they're feeling, and then I tell them I'm going to let them know, and then I go through 15 to 20 different interviews to hire one guy. And so I'm very selective of who I'm hiring and bringing on. And then I do, obviously you get in some people that maybe aren't the greatest fit for the job or greatest fit for the team, and I'm honestly, you feel bad about it, but some of those guys, just you need to let them go and do something else, and let them do something that fits their style, and find the good people there. So I'm pretty quick to hire, pretty quick to fire, but that's how you build a really stellar team, I think.
100%. And that ability to learn to let go of some people or walk away from certain relationships or different things it's important, because sometimes we want to save everybody. That's been a problem that I've had as a manager in years past. Yeah, is I'm like, they could be great one day. Yep. And sometimes you're not responsible to create someone else's journey. Everyone's responsible to create a healthy environment themselves. Right. And so, because at the end of the day, you can't carry somebody on their back for doing their whole job. They have to want it themselves and go get it. It's their work. Oh yeah. And so letting them like contribute and be a part of the team if they want to be, it's great. And if not, be the good enough guy to be like, hey, you got to go find a new opportunity. Love you. It just didn't work out here. And letting them have that opportunity of self-reflection of like, holy crap, I got fired. Oh, I don't know. Like, I was doing everything I could. I think you're just setting people up for greater success down the road because it gives them the opportunity of like, things changed and I probably either need to like pick up my game or just go find something that's a better fit.
Right.
So, cool. Well, Gav, you've seen some wild things out in the pest game. What's some crazy stories or some like interesting customers or sales reps that you ran into over the years that you're like, that was kind of wild?
I'd say biggest, first thing that came to my mind there is the biggest pest issue I've ever seen. So inside of this house, this was in Princeton, New Jersey. There's this customer that let me know. They said, every night I hear buzzing in the wall. And I said, really, what's going on? So I went outside and I see thousands of wasps, or they were bald-faced hornets, pouring in and out of this little hole in the wall right by their master bedroom. And I was like, okay, well, let's take care of these. So I used a big industrial smoker thing, like for dusting all of them out, and I dusted everything out. And then took care of it. Customer wasn't seeing any more wasps, but they called me back the next day and they said, hey, come back over here. We just want to show you something. So they had cut open their wall, and there was this nest 3 feet wide by 3 feet wide by 3 feet tall. Huge bald-faced horse nest. Tons of dead wasps in there. It was the craziest, biggest nest I've ever seen.
The mother of all wasps.
It was mother of all wasps, exactly. And it was just crazy, dude. Biggest wasp I've ever seen in my life. I've still got a picture of it somewhere, but it's crazy.
We'll clip the photo in.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's great. And it was massive.
Oh, yeah, massive. And the customer, it was just kind of a funny video. They're like, we got to call Gavin, let him know. And because they videoed themselves cutting open the wall, and it was just funny, you know.
That's crazy. And, like, did we get it down?
We did.
Okay.
You took care of the wasp nest. It was all gone. No stings there. We were good.
Did you use some wasp freeze or, like?
I just used Delta Dust. Yeah, worked great. Worked wonders, man.
That's crazy.
You know, I have confidence in the products. They work.
That would definitely build some bait. Dude, that big wasp nest, like, you were not able to smother that with the brush. You kind of just got to hit that and run.
It was inside of the wall. I couldn't even hit it with a brush. Had to dust inside of the wall.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's... Oh my gosh, dude! Yeah, no. Some of the stuff you see on the doors, like with those people like that, though, how'd they let it get like that? Because they had to have seen wasps coming out at certain points
for years, probably. I don't know.
Sometimes I roll up on customers and I'm like, I'm glad that I'm selling you, but I'm also like, how did you not contact someone sooner?
Mm-hmm.
So it's wild. Well, cool. So talk to me really quick on just your goals and aspirations and stuff like that. One thing that I've seen with you, even in the short time you've been at BRD, like you went from being a technician to the head technician to then being a branch manager in a short amount of time. And that's obviously because you showed a level of excellence at each stage for a continued period of time. If someone is like, hey, I'm coming along, it's my first summer teching, and it's something they feel like they can do. There's a lot of guys that come in each year through the camp. What are some tips you have to those guys to be like, here's how you can go from being base level tech and kind of growing? What does one need to do to rise on the ladder?
I'd say never settle. You know, never become content where you're at. Right now, I just barely got into the branch manager position, but I'm already ready to move on. You know, I'm already trying to work my way up, and I would say the best way to do that is just, if there's any opportunity to go above and beyond, take it. If there's an opportunity to, for example, right now we need a lot of help in the Texas branches because they're newer, and maybe the Utah branch is a little more established. So if there's an opportunity for you to fly out and go help out the company a little bit in a different branch, that really works wonders. And I'd say also just going above and beyond, doing everything that your manager's asking you to do, and then some.
Yeah.
And picking up extra shifts, picking up extra hours, helping out the other guys when they need help and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, 100%. Oh, and shout out to everyone that's contributing this summer. It's been a phenomenal year. We've had like killer sales teams. We've had amazing like support from each of the branch managers. It feels like every meeting when we're all linking up, it's like everything's on fire, but in a good way. And so we got to figure out how to get new trucks, more people behind them, and it's a real special team environment. And I was talking with Tyler the other day. I was like, I've been in a lot of different group chats, like texting. I've been in a lot of different circles, like with like where people come together in meetings or Zooms and stuff like that. And I really do feel like the branch managers, like that group chat and that core group of guys, I have very few rooms that are as positive and as happy and as like we're going to help you as those chats. And so I think it's been cool to just be a part of the team, like just like even in the group chats, I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like I love like the energy and the vibe, and you don't get to see that every day.
No, you don't.
So that it's just been cool. Every time I text in a message, or you guys all text in a message, or anyone does, like there's likes, there's comments, there's just a great energy, and it just makes it so much more fun to work.
Oh yeah.
And so I think if you're listening to this and like you're a sales rep, or you're a manager, or you're a field tech, or anyone in an organization, I think if you can strive to make sure that like you're transmitting positive energy back to like your team, the people you're working with, it's contagious, and it'll grab rapid fire. And I think you're one of the big contributors in that group chat, like keeping things positive, light, and happy. So I my hat's off to you on that, and keep doing what you're doing on that. So I appreciate you just being a positive spark plug of communication.
That just keeping it light, keeping it happy. You know, the less complaints, the better. It's what I always see. Is, you know what, if you're out there and you're just complaining because you're having a terrible day or whatever, nobody wants to hear you complaining, man. Like, you can maybe call somebody and talk the ear off a little bit, but don't bring down the whole team. Don't rile everyone up over a little bad day.
Yes. So
that's the biggest thing that I see is, you know what, bring happiness, positivity into all the chats and everything.
I love it. So Gav, talk to me really quick on the lady situation. We got any dates lined up here in the next little bit?
Nobody, dude. You know, I'm locked in.
Okay.
Locked in on the job.
And that's what you got to be, ladies and gentlemen. No, teasing.
There's nothing right now, dude. I mean, I'm out there in YSA ward doing what we can, but I got nobody on the roster currently.
Hey, same. Let's make a commitment, you and I, to like lock in this year and make sure we find some ladies.
So. Oh yeah, dude. Married next year, both of us.
I love it. Well, Gav, dude, it's been really good having you on. Is there anything that you want to like? And obviously, like everyone watches this, like from operations to sales to like HQ and all that stuff. Is there any tip you'd have to give to like anyone just watching? You're like, hey, like this is like a message I want to give to BRD Nation. What would you say to them?
I'd say everything. Same thing I say every week in the meetings. Just happy to be here. You know, you gotta just be happy to be here. You got to be giddy with anticipation. You got to be ready to go. But all jokes aside, I would just say go out there and do your best. Do your best work and never settle. Never settle for where you're at now.
I love it. No, just as you say that, I always remember you saying, hey, happy to be here. And I think looking at life in that perspective is important. I had a leader one time. He came to me and he's like, every day you need to look in the mirror and say, I love this, or I'm excited about doing this, and just stuff like that. Hey, happy to be here. It goes a long way, and people can feel that energy. So, Gav, God bless you. Thank you for coming on the pod, and BRD Nation. We'll catch you next time.